Dickinson College's Alliance for Aquatic Resource Monitoring engages volunteers to monitor their local waterways. Using water quality data, communities are able to learn more about the health of their local streams. In this video, we will be showing you how to use a hack orthophosphate test kit to analyze the orthophosphate concentration of your samples. Orthophosphate, which may also be referred to as soluble reactive phosphorus, is a form of phosphorus that occurs naturally in waters and acts as an essential nutrient in waterways. Excess amounts of phosphorus, however, may ultimately be detrimental to a waterway's health because it promotes eutrophication, or the rapid growth of algae blooms that consume large quantities of oxygen when they decompose and inhibit photosynthesis in aquatic plants by blocking sunlight. These harmful effects on aquatic wildlife make it vital for phosphorus levels in waterways to be regularly monitored. Analysis in this procedure will be accomplished by a colorimetric determination of the reactive phosphorus concentration, which is a measure of dissolved and suspended orthophosphate in the solution. The phosphor 3 reagent adds ascorbic acid that chemically reacts with orthophosphate to form a blue-colored compound that is then measured colorimetrically, meaning that the change of color is used as the indicator for your orthophosphate value. To determine the phosphorus concentration of your sample, you will need to gather the following supplies: your sample water, 2 square mixing bottles, 3 test tubes, the hack color comparator box, a long path adapter, which is the mirror inside of the box, the comparator box color wheel, phosphor 3 reagent, a syringe, scissors, a timer, and a calculator. Before you begin testing, make sure to rinse your mixing bottles, test tubes, and syringe 3 times with sample water from the beaker or distilled water if you have it. Additionally, ensure that the long path adapter is secure inside the color comparator box. The mirror is important for this low range test because it will help to illuminate the pale blue color inside the box. Finally, remember to invert your bottle of sample water 3 times to ensure that it is mixed before pouring any samples. Your sample water must be at room temperature, or roughly 20 to 23 degrees Celsius, to test it for orthophosphate. It is best scientific practice to measure all nutrients at room temperature for optimal results. You can use a Lamont Tracer pocket tester to check the temperature of your sample water. The reading will appear in the bottom right corner of the screen. If your sample water is too cold, you can warm it up by leaving it out in a room temperature environment, warming up a beaker of sample water between your hands, or placing the beaker in a warm bowl of water. Continuously stir the sample water with the meter as you do this to monitor its temperature and identify when it reaches the desired range. If the temperature rises above 23 degrees Celsius, you can discard the water in the beaker and refill it with your original sample water. Once your sample water has reached the desired temperature range, turn off your meter and rinse it 3 times with distilled water. Shake it dry and record on your data sheet that the sample is at room temperature. Use the syringe to fill both mixing bottles with 20 milliliters of sample water. Then, fill one of your test tubes up to the top white line with sample water and place it in the left opening of the color comparator. Open 1 packet of phosphor 3 reagent and pour its contents into one of the mixing bottles. To ensure that all contents of the packet are emptied into the bottle, tap the packet against the surface of the table before opening and squeeze the sides of the packet together once it has been opened. swirl the mixing bottle for 15 seconds to mix the reagent. The best way to ensure that the reagent is mixing is to disturb the grooves at the bottom of the square bottle with your fingertips while rotating the bottle back and forth. This method will prevent particles from being caught in the corners of the bottle, especially since the reagent will not dissolve completely. Afterwards, set the timer for 8 minutes. After 8 minutes, fill a second test tube up to the white line with the sample from the mixing bottle, and then place it into the right opening of the color comparator. Make sure to wipe any water off the sides of the test tube for the best viewing results. Hold the color comparator under a light source and rotate the color wheel until the colors in both windows are the same. Read the value on the wheel through the window and divide that value by 50. Then record the value on your datasheet as milligrams per liter phosphate. Note that if you believe your value is between two color blocks or numbers, you can record the value that is between the two. If the value you are reading appears to be darker than what the color wheel will allow for, make a note on the datasheet that this sample was greater than 0.8 milligrams per liter. You may also redo the test using the medium range protocol. Repeat the procedure using the second mixing bottle and the third test tube. You can reuse the first test tube filled only with sample water during the replicate tests. The values of the two replicates should be within 0.04 milligrams per liter of each other. If the values are not within this range, test additional replicates until two values are within it. Once you have collected two values within this range, calculate the average value and record the result in your datasheet. For example, if the value for your first replicate was 0.08 milligrams per liter and your second replicate was 0.12 milligrams per liter, you would record the average result as 0.10 milligrams per liter. Discard the samples from the mixing bottles and test tubes into your waste bucket. Throw all phosphor-3 reagent packets into the trash. Rinse all parts of the phosphate kit, including the 3 test tubes, 2 square mixing bottles, and 1 syringe, with deionized water after the test. For more information on how to properly clean your equipment, refer to our video on acid washing. Congratulations! You've completed orthophosphate testing with the HACK Orthophosphate Kit. We hope that this tutorial has been helpful for you. Thank you for watching and for volunteering to assess the health of your streams. We appreciate your investment in your local waterways, and happy monitoring.